Be gentle with yourself. You are growing into someone you've never been before. You are not failing. You are growing. And sometimes growth feels uncomfortable because you are becoming a version of yourself you have never met before. Maybe you're not lost. Maybe you're becoming. And I know that might be difficult to believe right now, because when you're in the middle of a life transition, growth doesn't always feel like growth. Sometimes it feels like confusion. Sometimes it feels like exhaustion. Sometimes it feels like waking up one morning and realizing that the life you once wanted doesn't feel like the life you want anymore. You may look around and wonder, what happened to me? Why don't I feel like myself anymore? Why am I questioning everything? Why does everyone else seem to know where they're going while I'm still trying to figure out my next step? If you've ever felt this way, I want you to know something. You are not alone. And more importantly, there may be nothing wrong with you. You may simply be standing in the uncomfortable space between who you were and who you're becoming. And that space can be incredibly confusing. Because the old version of you is familiar. You know how she thinks. You know what she wants. You know what makes her feel safe. You know the routines she follows. You know the people she tries to please. You know the things she tolerates. You know the dreams she once had. But then life happens. You experience disappointment. You experience loss. You make mistakes. You become responsible for other people. You go through relationships. You build a career. You become a parent. You face financial pressure. You experience rejection. You discover that some things you believed about life weren't true. And slowly, you change. Sometimes so slowly that you don't even notice it happening, until one day you stop and think, this isn't me anymore. Maybe you don't want the same things. Maybe you don't tolerate the same behavior. Maybe you don't care as much about impressing people. Maybe you crave peace more than attention. Maybe you want meaningful conversations instead of superficial relationships. Maybe you want time more than money. Maybe you want freedom more than status. Maybe you want a life that actually feels like yours. And suddenly, you feel lost. But what if you're not lost? What if you're simply outgrowing the version of yourself that was built around survival? Think about that for a moment. Maybe the person you became years ago was exactly who you needed to be at that time. Maybe she had to be strong. Maybe she had to be responsible. Maybe she had to keep everyone together. Maybe she had to put her own needs aside. Maybe she had to say yes when she wanted to say no. Maybe she had to keep going when she was tired. Maybe she had to smile when she was hurting. Maybe she had to become everything everyone else needed. And perhaps that version of you deserves compassion, not criticism, because she got you here. But here's the thing. Just because a version of you helped you survive one season doesn't mean she has to lead you through every season that comes after it. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to become softer after years of being strong. You are allowed to become more confident after years of doubting yourself. You are allowed to want something different. You are allowed to say, this no longer works for me. And you don't have to feel guilty about it. Sometimes growth begins when you finally become honest with yourself. Not with everyone else, with yourself. You finally admit, I am tired. I don't want to live this way anymore. I want something different. I want to feel alive again. I want to know who I am outside of everyone else's expectations. Those realizations can be frightening, because once you acknowledge what you truly want, you can't always pretend you don't know anymore. And that's when the questions begin. What should I do next? Where do I go from here? Am I making the right decision? Is it too late? What if I fail? What if I disappoint people? What if I start over and it doesn't work? What if I choose myself and people don't understand? These questions can make you feel stuck. But uncertainty doesn't mean you're going in the wrong direction. Sometimes uncertainty is simply what happens when you're walking somewhere you've never been before. Think about it. If you've never taken a particular road, you can't know every turn before you begin. You learn the road as you travel it. And life is the same. You don't need to know exactly where you'll be 5 years from now. You don't even need to know exactly where you'll be next year. Sometimes you only need to know what the next right step is. That's it. The next step, not the entire journey. Maybe your next step is updating your resume. Maybe it's learning a new skill. Maybe it's taking care of your finances. Maybe it's having an honest conversation. Maybe it's setting a boundary. Maybe it's finally resting. Maybe it's forgiving yourself. Maybe it's starting the project you've been postponing. Maybe it's admitting that you need help. Maybe it's simply getting through today without giving up on yourself. Please don't underestimate small steps. We live in a world that celebrates dramatic transformations, before and after pictures, success stories, big announcements, new careers, new homes, new businesses, new bodies, new relationships. But real transformation is often much quieter. Nobody sees you sitting alone at night questioning your choices. Nobody sees you crying and then wiping your tears because you still have responsibilities in the morning. Nobody sees you applying for another job after being rejected. Nobody sees you trying to rebuild your confidence after years of doubting yourself. Nobody sees the moment you choose not to respond to something that would have once destroyed your peace. Nobody sees you saying no for the first time. Nobody sees you choosing yourself without feeling guilty. But those moments matter. Those are growth moments. Those are the moments when you are becoming. And sometimes becoming doesn't look impressive. Sometimes becoming looks like starting over. Sometimes it looks like taking 1 step forward and 2 steps backward. Sometimes it looks like having a good day followed by a terrible one. Sometimes you think you've healed, and then something happens and you realize there is still work to do. Don't let that discourage you. Healing isn't always a straight line. Growth isn't always a straight line. Life isn't always a straight line. You can make progress and still have difficult days. You can be strong and still cry. You can be confident and still feel afraid. You can love yourself and still struggle with insecurity. You can know your worth and still have moments when you question it. That doesn't make your growth fake. It makes you human. So please stop expecting yourself to become a completely different person overnight. Give yourself room to learn. Give yourself room to make mistakes. Give yourself room to change your mind. Give yourself room to try something and discover that it isn't for you. You don't have to get everything right the first time. You are learning how to live a life you've never lived before. Of course, you're going to feel uncertain sometimes. You're making decisions based on a version of yourself that didn't exist before. And that's why you need patience, not pressure. Patience. Imagine talking to someone you love who is going through everything you're going through. Would you tell them, "Why aren't you doing better? Why aren't you further ahead? You should have figured this out by now. Look at everyone else. You're wasting time." Probably not. You would probably tell them, "It's okay. Take your time. You're doing your best. You'll figure it out. I'm proud of you for trying." So why can't you speak to yourself that way? Why are you so compassionate toward everyone else, but so unforgiving toward yourself? Why do you allow other people to make mistakes while believing you have to be perfect? Maybe part of your growth is learning to become a safe place for yourself, a place where you don't have to perform, a place where you don't have to pretend, a place where you can admit, "I don't know. I am scared. I am tired. I made a mistake. I need to start again." And instead of abandoning yourself, you stay. You tell yourself, "I'm still here. We'll figure this out, one step at a time." That is self-love. Not pretending everything is perfect, not constantly feeling confident, not having a positive attitude every second. Self-love is refusing to turn against yourself when life gets difficult. And maybe that's the kind of growth you need right now. Not becoming more impressive, becoming more honest. Not becoming perfect, becoming more compassionate. Not becoming someone everyone approves of, becoming someone you respect. Because there may come a time when you realize that you've spent years trying to become the person everyone else wanted. And somewhere along the way, you forgot to ask what you wanted. Maybe now is the time to ask, what kind of life actually makes me happy? What do I want my days to feel like? What am I no longer willing to tolerate? What matters to me now? What dreams have I pushed aside? What parts of myself have I neglected? What would I do if I stopped being afraid of other people's opinions? These questions don't need immediate answers. Let them sit with you. Let yourself discover the answers slowly. Because you are not supposed to know everything immediately. You are becoming someone new, and becoming requires discovery. There may be parts of yourself you haven't met yet, strength you haven't discovered, courage you haven't needed yet, dreams you haven't imagined yet, confidence that hasn't fully developed yet. And perhaps that's what makes this season so meaningful. You don't know exactly who you're becoming, but you can trust that every lesson, every mistake, every disappointment, every difficult season has given you something. Wisdom, perspective, strength, boundaries, clarity, compassion. You are not starting from zero. You're starting from experience. And that's a very different thing. So if you're listening to this today and you're feeling lost, please don't rush to label yourself as a failure. Pause. Take a breath. Look at your life with a little more compassion. Maybe you're simply between chapters. The previous chapter has ended, but the next one hasn't fully revealed itself yet. And that's okay. You don't have to force the next chapter open. Sometimes you simply have to keep turning the pages, one day at a time, one choice at a time, one brave decision at a time. And eventually, you'll look back and understand why some things had to change, why certain doors closed, why some relationships ended, why some plans didn't work, why you had to start again. You may not understand it today, but that doesn't mean your story doesn't have meaning. You're still in the middle of it, and the middle of the story is rarely where everything makes sense. So be patient with the middle. Be patient with the uncertainty. Be patient with yourself. You don't need to become everything you're meant to be today. You don't need to fix your entire life this week. You don't need to have all the answers before you begin. Just take the next step, and then the next, and then the next. Even if they're tiny, even if nobody notices, even if you are afraid. Keep going. Because there is a version of you on the other side of this season who will be grateful that you didn't give up. A version of you who will breathe easier. A version of you who will know herself better. A version of you who will have stronger boundaries. A version of you who will understand her worth. A version of you who will no longer apologize for wanting peace. And maybe one day, you'll look back at the person you are right now, the uncertain one, the tired one, the hopeful one, the scared one, the one who kept going even without knowing exactly where she was going. And you'll realize she wasn't lost. She was becoming. She was learning. She was growing. She was healing. She was letting go. She was finding her voice. She was discovering what mattered. She was becoming someone she had never been before. And maybe that's exactly what you're doing right now. So tonight, or whenever you're listening to this, give yourself a little grace. Put down the pressure. Stop comparing your timeline. Stop punishing yourself for what you didn't know before. Stop believing that you have to have everything figured out. You don't. You're allowed to be a work in progress. You're allowed to take your time. You're allowed to begin again. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to grow. And you're allowed to become. So take a deep breath and remind yourself, I am not lost. I am learning my way forward. I am not behind. I am on my own journey. I don't have to know everything today. I only need to take the next step. And most importantly, I will be gentle with myself while I become someone I've never been before. Because maybe you aren't lost at all. Maybe you're becoming.